Hey guys, today let us discuss about the topic called using databases and then SQL in the Python programming language. That is how we can use the databases and then how the database language can, that is SQL can be used in the Python programming language. Okay, so before going in detail how we can use the database that is SQL language in the Python programming language, let us discuss what exactly is the database. Okay, so in general we say a database is a file that is organized for storing the data. So we know that database means if you have any information, the corresponding information or the data, we want a place where all the information to be stored, so that this called as that place is called as the, or that file can be called as the database. Okay, so in general we can say most databases can be organized in a dictionary, in the sense they can map from the keys to the values. In general we'll be having a keys and the particular values, like in dictionaries we have represented the key value pairs. In the same way here also we'll be having the keys and the corresponding values for those particular keys. Okay, so the major difference is that the database is on the disk, that is in the permanent storage, or on the permanent storage we will be having a database. So it persists after the program ends. That means the whatever the data it is there, that will be stored even though program ends, and whenever you want to access next time, the database can be accessed. Okay, because a database is stored on the, since the database is stored on the permanent storage, it can store far more data than the dictionary. When compared to dictionary, we can store more or the enough amount of the data in the database, which is limited to a size of the memory in the computer. That is dictionary, in the dictionary we will be having a limited size. Okay, so for that limited corresponding size we can store only that particular information. Okay, like dictionary database software is designed to keep the inserting and accessing the data very fast. Okay, whenever you use the database, it is very easy for inserting and accessing any data very faster. So even though you have a large amount of the data, it is easy to access them. Okay, so in such case we'll be having a software that is called database software, which maintains performance by building the indexes as the data that is added to the database, which allows the computer to jump quickly to the particular entry. That means whichever the entry you are expecting, you can jump to that particular entry. Okay, so we have a different types of the database system which is used in the wide variety of the purposes. That includes we have seen Oracle, then MySQL, then Microsoft SQL Server. SQL is structured query language. SQL means it is a structured query language. Okay, then we have PostgreSQL, then SQLite. Okay, so this is one of the database system which is used more in general in the current technology. Okay, so now here we mainly focus on the SQLite, that is structured query light, in this chapter, since it is very common database and is already built into the Python. Okay, this SQLite is already built into the Python library and we can use them directly. Okay, so this SQLite is designed to be embedded into other applications to provide the database support within that particular application. For example, if you have a Firefox browser, it also uses the SQLite database internally, as other many products do. Okay, so if you want more information on this, you can just refer this website, that is http://sqlite.org. Okay, so this SQLite is very well suited to some of the data manipulation problem. Okay, whenever you have a data manipulation program, this kind of the database system, that is SQLite, will well suited. Okay, so in such where we can see this kind of SQLite in Twitter's filtering application we describe. Okay, so we have a Twitter filtering application which is very important, we will discuss here in this chapter. Okay, so that is about what is database. Now let us discuss about the database concept, that is how you are adding the information to the database and how you can retrieve those particular data. Okay, so when you first look at any database, we can see it looks like any spreadsheet. Okay, you can see here, for example, say this is the database. You can see it as a spreadsheet with multiple sheets. For example, say you have a company or an organization where you have so many employees and all the information of the employees will be stored in the database. Okay, So where the database will be stored, you can generally see in the Excel sheet where so many information will be stored. So that's why we say it simply looks like a spreadsheet with multiple sheets. Okay. So the primary data structures in the database are tables, rows, and then columns. Okay, very important. That is, primary data structure should be tables, row, and then columns. Okay. So in technically descriptions of relational database, the concepts of the technically relationships concepts of the table, row, and the column are more formally referred to as the relation, tuple, and attribute respectively. Okay, so we'll be using less formal terms in this particular chapter. Okay, this is how your relational databases can be reposed. Okay, you have a table, a database, that is, it contains a table, row, and then column. Okay, tuple is also nothing but a row, okay, which contains the values also. Okay, so in the similar way, we have a database browser for the structured query Lite. Okay, so what is this database browser for structured query Lite? Okay, so here we will be focusing mainly on using the Python to work with the SQLite database files. So we have many operations that can be more conveniently using a software called database browser for SQLite, okay, which is freely available. You can download from this website. Okay, so using the browser, you can easily create the tables or insert any data or edit any data, or you can run simple SQL queries on the data in the database. Okay, so that means the database browser is similar to a text editor when working with the next files. So whenever you want to do one or the few very operations on a text file, that means whenever you want to do any operations on any particular text file, what you will do, you can just open it in a text editor and make the changes you want. Okay, but when you have many changes that you need to do in a text file, often you will write a simple Python program. Okay, so that is the difference here. So text file, when you have a single text file, then you will just open it and make the changes, but multiple files, it is very difficult to make the changes. In that case, you can write a program by calling that multiple files, and in every file you have to write the changes what it can be made using the Python program. Okay, so here we can find the same pattern when working with the databases also. Okay, here also we do the simple operations in the database manager, and more complex operation will be conveniently done in the Python. Okay, so that is what the difference here. Next, so next topic is how we can create a database table. Okay, what is the procedure for creating the database table? Here, databases require more defined structure. That means it requires a more specific structure when compared to Python dictionaries or the list. Okay, so whenever we want to create a database, we must tell or inform the database in advance the names of each columns. The name of each columns must be informed well in advance in the table, and the type, what kind of the type or the type of the data which we are planning to store in the each column. We'll see example in detail. You will come to know what exactly it is. So when the database software knows the type of data in each column, it can choose the most efficient way to store and look up that particular data based on the any type of the data. Okay, so when you want to look at various types of database supported by SQLite or the following, please refer this URL for the various data types. Okay, so when you define a structure for your data upfront may seem inconvenient at the beginning, but it is fast to access your data when the database contains large amount of the data. Okay, so we have a code which creates a database file and table name tracks. Okay, name of the table is track with 2 columns in the database. How we can write that? Okay, you can see here what is the name of the table we told tracks. Okay, we have the 2 table entries, that is title and the place. Okay, so this is the attributes in that particular table. Okay, so name of the database is music.sql. Okay, we are connecting to this particular database, that is music.sql, and then you are dropping the table if exists the tracks. Okay, if it will check for the table whether tracks is existing in this music.sqlite, and then create the particular rectangle. What it is showing, make sure you are importing the SQLite, okay, which is already present in the Python library. Okay, so this is how we can connect the operation which makes a connection to the database stored in the file, and if file does not exist, it will be created. Okay, if this file does